Welcome again to We the People, a new birth of freedom. In our first episode, we concluded by looking at the percentage of politicians, our elected officials, and what category they may fit in. So I suggested that 10% of our elected representatives were genuine American patriots who love this country, they love this nation, they deeply love the American people and will do everything they can to support, protect, and defend life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness according to our Charter of Liberty, which includes the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, or the law of human civil rights. 10% are genuine. There's another 10%, I suggested, that are wolves in American clothing. They love the freedom here in America. They love the affluence that they can subscribe to. But their hidden agenda is to acquire all the power that they can get so they can define and limit your life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness, to promote, push, and further their socialistic agenda. They're socialist. The very word socialism or socialistic party or socialistic agenda should be run out of this country. That is not what this country was founded upon. When a person stands up and says, I'm a socialist, while we say that you can express yourself with freedom here in this country, but that's not in the context of freedom. Socialism is not in the context of life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness according to the freedom context established by our founding fathers. So freedom of speech does not mean that you can push a socialistic agenda. Freedom of speech does not mean that you can promote a Nazi agenda. Freedom of speech does not mean that that you can become or you can propagate dictatorship, despotism, totalitarianism. That is not what our freedom of speech lends itself to. Freedom of speech is the freedom to perpetuate freedom, to perpetuate life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness according to our Charter of Liberty. That's real freedom. Anything that is antithetical to that is not to even be entertained in this country. And socialism, Nazism, communism, Marxism, postmodernism is not in the context of life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness as established by our founding fathers in the Charter of Liberty. You don't have the freedom to propagate that here. So that's been greatly taken out of context, greatly misunderstood, and twisted to become so reprehensible. I can't believe people even are allowed to entertain those thoughts here. Does that mean that we are a dictator? No. But it means that freedom rules. Life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness, according to our founding documents, it rules. Not according to your interpretation. It says what it means what it says. It's simple. They wrote it so the simple man can understand it. But there's 10% of our elected officials who have hidden agendas, who want to propagate and push their envelope of socialism. Socialism has no place in this country. If they want to be part of a socialistic economy and political party, there's other nations they can go to. Go ahead and leave. You're not welcome here. And they're always fighting capitalism. Capitalism is not a problem. Never has been a problem. The problem is greed, not capitalism. We're allowed to make as much money as we want. There's no jurisdiction by any political party or the Supreme Court of the United States of America that can tell us how much money we can make or how less of an income we want to have. It's none of their business. But these socialist anti-Americans. They want to dictate how much money you make. But as I said, that is not the issue. That's not the culprit. The culprit is greed. Share the wealth, and many do. But you're allowed to make as much money as you want, or as less of amount of money as you want. If you're comfortable living on $1,000 a year, okay, that's fine. If you're not, and you want to live on $1 million a year, $10 million a year, it's up to you. That's freedom. But don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. That becomes the issue. It's just like, as I was relating, our freedom to breathe. It's intrinsic within us. We're born with it. It's in our biology. That's how we live. That's a characteristic of how we stay alive, is to be able to breathe. And no Supreme Court, no political party, no political agenda has the jurisdiction, the power, the authority to tell me or you how many times that we can take a breath in a day, a week, a year, a month, in our lifetime. It's intrinsic. It's according to the law of nature. Nature's God. It's born within us. It's the actual existence of part of who we are. It's an actuality. We breathe. That's how we continue to live. Without oxygen, we don't live. So we have the freedom to breathe. But there's a governing law of nature that dictates that if you ingest or breathe in toxic gases, you're going to get sick and possibly die. It's a governing constitution within us. It's also intrinsic within inside of us. There's a governing constitution that gives us warning if something is not smelling quite right. That's why they put up signs. Poisonous gases, do not inhale, do not breathe. It's only for your safety. So we have the freedom to breathe, but we do not have the liberty to interfere with someone else's freedom to breathe. In other words, I have the freedom to breathe, you have the freedom to breathe, but we don't have the freedom to choke somebody else so they can't breathe. We don't have the freedom to cause an interference in somebody else's liberty to breathe and choke them out so they die or get sick. So there are built-in constitutions and governing laws according to the laws of nature, nature's God, that defines what life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness really is. You know, after 2.5 centuries, you would think that our elected officials would understand that. But you never hear, at least I haven't, our elected representatives talk about the law of nature, the laws of nature, and nature's God. They don't discuss the Declaration of Independence, the preamble to the Declaration of Independence. But the problem is that without independence, that's why Thomas Jefferson wrote that first. Without the Declaration of Independence, authentic truth, authentic life, liberty, justice, the pursuit of happiness cannot exist. We will continue that thought in the next episode. Until then, remember, we are Americans, and we will defend our life, liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. Till next time, be an American.